We all try to stay humble in our day-to-day lives, but it is undeniable that at one point, we have all felt awesome, that we could conquer the world. Sadly for most of us, those feelings go away. And as we get older, it evaporates altogether as the weight of reality presses down on us. But imagine for a moment that you had the utmost belief in yourself, that you knew you were amazing, and it was your ultimate goal in life to let everybody know. That's how we get the wonder of vanity action films. Those extraordinary objects powered by a single individual who, with every fiber in their body, believed they had to show the world, through the magical medium of the moving image, that they were charming, cool, and could kick butt. Examples include such gems as Get Even, Razor Sharp, Fight of Fury. And today, I want to add to that pantheon with the incredible work of one John Liu. Most vanity action stars come out of nowhere, but this is not the case with John. In fact, he is basically martial arts cinema royalty, thanks to his very flexible performance in the classic In Si-young film The Secret Rivals. And it seemed following that smash hit that John Liu was on a rocket to stardom. He appeared in tons of motion pictures, and he even worked with the legendary Yu Wo-ping. But it was seemingly not enough, because around the time John Liu found himself appearing in the Godfrey Ho classic The Dragon the Hero, he decided to take his career in his own hands. He wasn't just going to star in films anymore. No, he was going to direct them, produce them, write them, and choreograph them. And that is the magic recipe for vanity action film gold. John Liu's first directorial effort was Zen Kwon Do Strikes in Paris. What is Zen Kwon Do, you might be asking? Well, it's only the martial arts system that John Liu designed himself. What does that entail? I'm not quite sure. I know it's a mixing of many different martial arts philosophies, and I'm certain it involves a lot of kicking. But even in this first film, John is at full power, traversing international locations, wooing beautiful women, and of course, kicking butt. Which brings us to the follow-up, Ninja in the Claws of the CIA, also known as In the Claws of the CIA, Made in China, and sometimes Kung Fu Emmanuel, which it should be noted is also a title that Zen Kwon Do Strikes in Paris went under as well.
I just don't know how to thank you.
Nonsense. Don't bother.
Now, I should take a step back and consider maybe this isn't all ego-related. Maybe the film was so low budget that John Liu had to take on all of these responsibilities if he wanted to get anything done. And for the first 10 minutes, maybe I'd even believe that, with the opening credits not actually starting with John Liu does this, John Liu does that. Sure, there's a starring John Liu, but he actually put 3 of his responsibilities on one title card. And if you would just keep watching from that point, you'd think, oh, this is just one of those convoluted martial arts espionage pictures. But is it really a vanity action film? Where is John Liu in all this? One could assume this film was going to follow ex-Shaw Brothers star Danny Lee, who would later go to appear on screen with Chow Yun-fat in John Woo's The Killer. Or perhaps the film was going to star Christian Anders, who appears throughout this opening and was better known as a German-language musician that starred and co-directed the self-described first German martial arts film, Roots of Evil. But in truth, these elements are probably just there for the potential buyers of the film, who would just want to know, does it feature someone recognizable? Does it seemingly indicate that it stars a white guy? Does it have a bunch of international locations? Boom, sold. Because it isn't until 10 minutes in that we're properly introduced to John Liu, playing John Liu. Yes, you heard that correctly. In this film, John essentially plays himself, a world-class martial arts champion who is incredibly awesome. And just to make sure we know that, we are treated to a slideshow of John Liu appearing on a number of martial arts magazine covers with headlines making sure that you know he can kick butt. And if you're worried that this is perhaps not really a vanity action film, John Liu then appears in a scene with John Liu. This opening is a textbook example of this is all going to be about me. And keeping that in mind, we're gonna slow things down. Because plots don't really matter in these kind of things. What matters is the individual, not three-act structure, not rising action. This is about John Liu. So we want a kind of dreamy stream of consciousness experience, where all the characters circle him. There's not much pressure or conflict. What's important in these kind of endeavors is to see the star be a cool guy. Hang out by the pool, watch beautiful women swim around, make sweet love in front of a gigantic mirror so John can get a glimpse of his sexual prowess in action. He is such a powerful man that not even a woman crawling all over him, simulating a blowjob in the middle of the forest, can make him crack. On the action side of things, it's fine. In vanity action films, it's all about the star, not necessarily the choreography or the set pieces, but just the vibe of it all. And John Liu worked with some of the best people in Hong Kong and Taiwan, so he's got the basics down. And when you have someone like Casanova Wong being his main opponent, it's almost impossible for it not to be a little exciting. But while the action is alright, the film itself is odd in every other way. From its rambling structure where John seemingly just hangs out on a base for most of the running time, trying to fight off the new weapon of the enemy, hypnosis, while a few moments later, John will meet a child on the streets who will tell him,
"Oh boy, you're the best."
And, like most vanity action films, Ninja in the Claws of the CIA takes a sudden turn in its final few reels, as its creator realizes that it needs to reach a specific running time to become viable as a feature film. So, to pad things out, John takes a tour through France, a lot of time is spent with the villain, a new love interest is introduced, as what little logical progression just gets tossed out of the window, which is a common occurrence with these types of projects, because they were never designed with anything in mind beyond serving as a catalog of traits, real or imagined, that the director, writer, star, producer wanted to highlight on screen. So once those are shown, there's usually very little to do until the mandated climax has to break out.
I'll kill you any way I can.
I realize that vanity is unavoidably a pejorative term, that at its base, it denotes an overinflated sense of self, and at its worst, a hollow emptiness. There's no getting around that. You watch a vanity action film and you will think, holy moly, can you believe someone made this? But at the same time, if you give it a chance, there is a raw vulnerability there. All creative endeavors are in some ways fueled by vanity, whether we like to admit it or not. And in the vanity action film, it's only that, stripped of all self-reflection or any mental blocks. The fact of the matter is that people who make vanity action films are full of themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't make the movies in the first place. In real life, they might just be goofballs who wanted to have fun, or truly terrible people who desperately had to put up a false front. But in the end, what's on screen isn't the creator, but the idea of what they would like to be. And there's inherently humor there, but there's also an inherent sadness, because the vanity action filmmaker wouldn't be making this type of film if they believed wholeheartedly that the person on screen is their true self. If they were that cool person they're trying to portray, they wouldn't have to make a movie like this. So through the act of creation, they've already invalidated their goal. But in the process, they gift the world a different thing, arguably a purer thing, that at its best is a total blast.
I hope you're satisfied.
Now, most vanity action filmmakers only have one or two goes at it before the monetary realities of making movies catch up with them. Not the case with John Liu. He would go on to make Dragon Blood, aka John Liu in Mexico, but that didn't light the box office on fire, and his next directorial effort, his attempt to break into the direct English language market, New York Ninja, didn't even get completed until Curtis M. Spieler at Vinegar Syndrome put in the Herculean effort of editing it, dubbing it, and finally releasing it in 2021. By 1982, John Liu was done in the business of cinema, retiring to go spread the knowledge of Zen Kwon Do across the globe, only returning to the screen 16 years later in the one-of-a-kind experience Trinity Goes East, the only film that I know of where a pig uses a weaponized cart straight out of Lone Wolf and Cub. Looking back though, he will always be associated with his breakthrough role in Secret Rivals, his underrated turns in films like Incredible Kung Fu Mission, and his wild filmography as a director. And just to be clear, it may be easy to laugh at a Vanity action film, but I am also incredibly impressed that there's people out there who have the will to put projects like this together, who have the strengths to drag it to the finish line based solely on their own belief of self-worth. That takes commitment, one that only a very few can muster up. But you can see it every time you watch a film directed by the likes of John Liu.
I'm looking out for number one. What's so goddamn funny?